Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwaraha. Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanya Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang, Daily Satsang. Today is the 17th of August 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to the one supreme Paramatma residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine and try to better understand the 10th Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. This is a state of inner development where the Bhakta has gone through significant internal development of the 9 forms of Bhakti. That the connection with God, with Bhagavan, in a dualistic sense, is more and more solid. So for example, there are many examples in the history of this world. We can say Mirabai and Bhagwan Krishna, Bhakta or Bhagwan. This is a common example. We can say Tulsidas ji and Ramchandra ji, like that. So there is this link that begins to develop. That is very special. When that link with Ishta Devata, Ishta Dev meaning the chosen deity, that can be Sri Krishna, Sri Ram, Shankar Bhagwan, any form of the goddess, Devi, it could be Hanumanji, it could be Ganeshi, it could be whoever. Sometimes some gurus are considered to be Ishta Devata. Some people consider that way. Whatever it may be, since we're focusing on Sri Krishna, Bhagwan Krishna and Radhika ji, so Sri Krishna can be considered or can be Ishta. Ishta means that my most chosen form of the Lord. And one should have a Ishta Devata. That doesn't mean you don't respect other forms, or it's a God is only one. Bhagavad Tattva is ultimately only one. But it is a way to develop towards that higher realization. So, in the path of Bhakti and Upasana, there is a link between Bhakta and Bhagavan. It is called Bhakta Bhagavan Sambandha. That link is an internal link with God. That's a tremendous thing in life. Otherwise, people are linked already with what? With this sansar. With this worldly experience. They're linked with that, running around blindly in it, dying one day, meaning the body dies, rebirth upon rebirth. That's all. There's nothing new in that. But anybody who is really linked with Paramatma has the opportunity to evolve out of the vortex of the sansar and serve the world. So it is called Seva and Bhakti. Nothing else remains. Only Seva, only Bhakti, which equals Jivan Mukti. That's the equation. Akhanda Seva plus Akhanda Bhakti equals Jivan Mukti. Jivan Muktas. Jivan Mukta ki sthiti. That's the equation. Right? So it's very beautiful. Usually people in life don't want these things, not in this way. Generally, lots of money, lots of this, lots of that, name, fame, position, more and more worldly experiences, just sensory experiences to enhance them further. And then that's life. There's no other higher purpose. It's just like an animal life, pretty much. That's all. There's nothing to be achieved in. Yeah, maybe there's achievement in terms of, career and things like that. That's part of the material world. It's all to be done as karma yoga. If we start chasing this material world, one will wind up in cycles of rebirth for millions of lives, not just 10 lives or 100 lives, millions. That can happen. So one has to be very, very careful not to get stuck inside this worldly experience. That is what the entire teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is about. That the Gita teaches us that we want to reach Bhakti, yes. Bhakti Yoga is chapter 15, chapter 12, And then from that we reach Shri Purushottam Narayan, Parabrahma Narayan. That is chapter 15. Right? So, but to reach that, we need a certain foundation, certain qualification. Otherwise, we cannot go over there into that state. And the biggest foundation, the most important foundation, is equanimity. Equanimity means stableness, steadiness, sameness inside. Somebody praises us, 5 people say good things about Sachin, 5 people say bad things about Sachin. 5 people praise Sachin, 10 people, 5 people insult Sachin. 5 people put flowers on Sachin's forehead, and another 5 people put dirt and dust and criticize and blame. In all of these circumstances, tulya bhav. Tulya means equal. This is the Gita's teaching. And this is a matter of anubhav. Until we reach that stage, we cannot reach unbroken bhakti. Prema bhakti will not open until this is reached first. So we do the 9 forms of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. We continue that process until, and that process continues lifelong, no doubt. But one of the immediate results, if the progress is made beautifully, is tulya ninda stutir moni santushta yena kenachit. It is where there is equanimity. Sukhe dukhe samay kritva labha labho, sukh dukh me samta. Labh means good things coming in our life, and sometimes some difficulties happen. Samatva. Sukh in Gujarati, in the Satsang we say, Sukha dukha ave sarve bhelu ema rakhajo stiramati. Sukh dukh ave sarve bhelu ema rakhajo stirmati. This is the interpretation from the Gita shloka. Keep the mind very steady. And that can be the prayers. We just had Janmashtami program last night. So now another year is going to go by before the next Janmashtami program. What is it that we want to realize during this year? We can pray and ask Bhagwan Krishna, Shri Radhika ji, for this equanimity. Yes, and then, of course, practically in life, we have to handle whatever is coming our way. It doesn't mean that one is careless and useless. It's not like that. If someone is making critical statement about us, we should listen and try to improve ourselves if we can. If someone is praising us, don't let the ego get involved in that thing. You see, so these kinds of things are there. Attraction and repulsion of the objects of the senses. That is called the raga and dvesha. You see all these words from the Gita. Man, apman, sukh, dukh, harsh, shok. Harsh, shok means very, very elated. Shok means some delation, like, oh my God, this is gone, this is a problem, this is an issue. That steadiness, complete steadiness, that sounds very nice, but to reach that is a matter of realization, is a matter of looking within and worshipping Bhagwan ki upasana. As we are connecting further, there is a great steadiness. Mind becomes still. Mind becomes steady. We talked about this before. But that is a realization. And from that realization, in that realization, more bhakti continues. Now, isn't there a difference between bhakti, meaning the 9 forms of devotion, nam, smaran, etc., performed with an unsteady mind, versus a completely steady mind? Isn't there a difference? Of course. There's a massive difference between the two. When we say steadiness, inner steadiness, stillness, shanti, mind, body, brain connection, is everything is steady and stable. Then in that state, we continue our connection, that link with Paramatma. The key word for today, in today's sadhana, is to ask oneself, how much link do I have? What is the quality of my link with God? What is the quantity of my link with Paramatma? What is the direction of my link with Paramatma? All that. What is the depth of the link with Paramatma? In our Angel Wing program, we talk about this, right? The quality, quantity, direction, dimension, depth, and structure. All 6 are these important points. How, to what extent am I in alignment with that? And at the same time, being able to live in the relative world on the relative world's terms. You cannot say, like living in the home, to people who are not, actually to anybody, you cannot say, just keep talking about spiritual things with people. No, that is not advisable to do that. If somebody is interested, it's a matter of buddhi, being active in the right way at the right time, in the right context, how much to say. These are big things. Today, like in this morning satsang, Sachin has good opportunity to talk about all this. We don't talk about these things with people as in our normal conversation. Maybe a little bit here if they're interested. No, one has to be very careful. Otherwise you'll say this guy, this person, this lady, this whatever, you're just all the time talking about God, all the time only this, all the time. And then living with the people of the world, that doesn't work. So you have to live with them in their way. But stay away from entanglement with them. That's the difference. So like Ramakrishna Paramahans, these are big saints, right? But we're talking about ordinary people who are living in the Grahastha Ashram life. Live with the Grahastha Ashram as a Grahastha Ashram. Don't expect all of those around all of us to have this divine vision and all that. They're just, whatever they're doing, they're going to do that. And that will be the end of their life. They're not going to go into spiritual path and all that. Very, very few people ever do. But that's fine. That's all. That's their journey. Leave them alone. Bhagwan Krishna says, leave them alone. He says, do not impose anything on them. Even to talk too much about the spirituality is not necessary. I'll give you a simple example. If someone is again, I have to use this financial example because it's easy to understand. If someone is billionaire, multi-billionaire, and is living with ordinary people, middle class people, he has to live like with middle. He cannot show off his wealth all the time. If he shows off his wealth all the time, they cannot connect with people also, cannot assist them, help them, cannot interact with them. So many things, They may know he's a billionaire, but he doesn't have to act like a billionaire. Isn't that true? If he's living with ordinary middle-class people, he has to live like with them, wear clothes like them, have houses like them. Then he can interact, but he is still who he is. Similarly, a true bhakta is a true bhakta, but you still live in the ordinary life with ordinary people in the ordinary way. But the only difference is there is no entanglement and it is karma yoga. Yes. You have to live with everybody on people's terms. You cannot, talk about Navda Bhakti and Prem-Lakshana Bhakti and the Golok Dham and all these things that we're talking about with the ordinary people. They say, what is this crazy stuff? They have no idea what that means. It's okay. If they are ready, slowly, one would have to see where the person is on that basis. And then, of course, the other side of this, those who are much, much more evolved than us, always keep contact with them. Keep sangha with them, learn from them. That's why we go to temples and listen to lectures and great gurus and scriptures. Why is that? So we can grow. Never think, I have realized everything. We have not realized everything. There's so much to realize, right? So again, I hope this is clear. And I'm telling this for myself mostly, really. That begins with me, that, look, in the relative world, we have to live in that way. We have to interact with the people of the world in their way. But at the same time, not to get drawn into and lost as they are. The people who are running after anger, greed, hatred, lust, you have to stay away from certain people also. But people that we have to interact with, they are not perfected beings. They are trapped people inside the prison of Maya. What do you expect from them? It's a very simple question. What is the expectation of somebody who is trapped inside the prison cell? How much can you expect from that person? Just think about it. Like they have these prisons, right? Here in Delaware, we have Gander Hill Prison. There's the Women's Baylor Correctional Institute. And then there's the Georgetown Correctional Facility, 3,000 prisoners. And then they have, I don't know if you've ever gone inside, because I used to help people inside the prisons many years back. Everything is locked, obviously. Even to go inside, you have to get security check. But inside, everything is locked. And not only that, they have these pods. Now, look at this. They have these pods. And inside each pod, like maybe 7, 10 people are there. They have rooms. And each of those rooms is locked. It's a prison within a prison within a prison. You see, the ordinary human being is trapped like that. Now, how much do you expect from them? What do you expect from them? They're trapped by Kam, Krodh, Lobh, by attachments. Everybody is stuck, A to Z, except for the Mahapurushas, and those who are mumukshus, who want to be free. They're taking the path out of the jail. The material world is a prison made out of the 3 gunas of Maya. And the Jivatma is trapped inside that thing. You see, so you cannot realize how to get out of that. This is why Bhagwan Krishna came. Bhagwan Ram comes. Incarnations come. Why they come? So that the bridge out of the jail can be taken out. Can be shown. It's terrible. It's these prisons I was telling you, these physical prisons. These people are locked up. And it's horrible. I mean, what humanity is doing to other human beings? Isn't there a better way to help people than do this? Even if there's a punishment, it's inhuman punishment. To lock somebody up like that inside a room and inside a lock. Kitni terrible. What we are doing, kitna paap hai isme. And how much damage that is being caused. Is there another way to dole out the punishment? Some other way that there can actually, than taking away somebody's humanity and dignity? Think about this. Think what human beings are doing to each other. Because they are in conflict with each other. They're harming each other. Somebody's harmed somebody else, now harm that person even more. Think about this. How can anybody get out of this cycle of karma? You cannot get out of it. You see, there's no way out except for worshipping Narayana. Akhanda Bhakti, Akhanda Vritti, and live in the sansar by the grace of Guru Parampara, rise above it and wish well for all. And those who are ready to take this path out of the prison, find otherwise they can happily or miserably stay inside the prison. They cannot come out of the prison. No way. Impossible. The cycle of birth and death is endless. The only way to come out of that is to take the feet, is to connect with Paramatma, 100%. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam, iha sansare, bahudustare, krupaya pare, pahi murari, bhajagovindam, 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 moodhamate. Adi Shankaracharya ji's first verse in Bhajagovindam Stotram, he's very clear. That again and again, this repetitive cycle of birth and death, nobody can come out of that. He says, Bhaja Govindam, Bhagwan Krishna ki bhakti karna. That is the way out of the prison. Otherwise, wherever our attachments are, that is where we will wind up. So these are things to keep in mind. Now, if this is clear, once this is clear, then we are then ready to take that journey into the abode of God, into the Bhagavad Dham. We are ready to evolve from inside and not be trapped inside the same repetitive structures of the sansar. Isme kya naya kya hai sansar mein? Anything new in that? Yeah, there's new technologies and all that. But the inner space is not new. The inner space is the same conflicts, same, internal confusions and internal problems, and those things are not new. And one is trapped inside there. That is why the Gita is a medicine. It is a medicine for the first stage. First stage is equanimity. It's a tough one. But we can realize we want this. If Sachin says, I want equanimity, jo bhi anything may happen. Things are always changing in the material world. It's always changing. So many people are being born, so many people are going, things are changing continuously. But in that change, not to be caught inside that. The changing manifestation of Prakriti continues. But to realize, be steady. Sthirta rakhni. And that is where the name of Bhagavan practiced and chanted regularly, then slowly, this development will happen. And then in that, we are able to maintain good vision, proper vision. At the same time, satsang mein bahut interest, we become interested in the teachings of the great sages. So now, what is more beautiful? Watching this news for 6-7 hours a day, let's say 4 hours, or reading Vivekananda Swami's teachings, reading the Vachanamrutam, listening to great scriptures. Which one is greater? Most people cannot even stand reading these higher level ideas for even 15 minutes. All of you who are coming online every single day, wo Bhagwan ki daya, not because of Sachin. And this is krupa on this person that we can come here and think about this for over an hour every single day. How is this possible? That doesn't happen. Ye krupa se hota hai. Not because of Sachin, not because of anything. It is by God's grace that we have even taken interest in this, that for so long, for so many years, continuously we're able to take this journey further. Most human beings, even 5 minutes of spirituality, they cannot handle that. Because they're burning inside with their attachments. How they can handle any concept of spirituality? They're burned up by Kam, Krodh, Lobh. That's it, attachments, moha. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, moha, matsar, asha, trishna. This is what their life, they live like that and finish like this. Asai jala jayo, aso jivana, bhajana bina. I remember when I was 7 or 8 years old in Ahmedabad, I remembered this bhajan. Somebody used to sing this bhajan. I think it's Kabir ji ka, somebody's bhajan is there. Jala jayo, aso jivana, bhajana bina. I remember that from years, from childhood. This life is burnt away. Is this what life is for? To burn it away literally in this nonsense? No, it is to not burn life away. It is to develop the flower of bhakti. That is the purpose of life. Otherwise, ऐसे ही जीवन खलास हो जाता है, totally. Vasanas don't end. The desires just keep twisting and turning and twisting and turning. Entanglement upon entanglement. And the Jivatma is trapped, doomed, I would say. D-O-O-M-E-D. Doomed in the cycle of birth and death. So we have a golden opportunity, platinum opportunity. We have an opportunity once and for all to reach Jivan Mukti and to rise above the entanglements of the sansar. If we are ready to take that opportunity is given. Now, how do we take that opportunity? Start the process of 9 forms of devotion, bhajan kirtan, scriptural study. वो एक मार्ग है. It is a path to go towards Paramatma, step by step, slowly. Yes, we are all on that path together. We have so many gurus, so many teachers. Learn from everybody. Where is Guru? Somebody asked the other day, can we have more than one Guru? Of course. Everything is Guru actually. Guru is not limited to one human being or one scripture only. In reality, Guru Tattva is present everywhere. Everything, everyone, every situation is constantly teaching us something. If we have the capacity to grasp that teaching. Yes. There is always something to learn from everyone. And there is always a vision where there is the possibility of growth. That is the highest level of Guru realization. It is present everywhere. But to get to that point, we have different paramparas. Learn from all. Bring it inside. And then you will have your own development from within. Following a particular tradition, fine. Particular parampara, fine. Very good. Just like I said yesterday, don't get into, these me versus you thing. That me versus you, if that is there, that whole, it is like putting potassium cyanide inside the fresh 1 gallon of red cap milk. The red cap milk, you get the fat, the whole milk, pasteurized. Somebody puts, let me make it better by putting a spoon of potassium cyanide in there. Can you imagine that? No. This me versus you is a spoonful of potassium cyanide. Inside what? Inside spirituality. Inside love. It damages everything. It contaminates everything. It contaminates our life in general. It contaminates our relationships. And the world is filled with this contamination. Me versus you. And it's getting degraded more and more. So that degradation can be stopped. In Gujarati we say Urdhvagati versus Adhogati. Adhogati means this degradation. More and more conflicts, more and more problems, more and more lawsuits, more and more klesh, more and more arguments. This is degradation. And that opens the door into lower consciousness. Urdhvagati, go upward instead. It's really, really, really beautiful. And that is the goal of life. That is the purpose of our life. Every hour, are we going upward or are we going downward? Very simple question for today. Is today, because all we have is today. All we have is one day at a time. All we have is the present moment. That's all it is. I cannot change the past. And I cannot get trapped with the people of the world also. That's going to continue. They're already trapped. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. But we have to live with them. Because they're functioning based on Kam, Krodh, Lobh. 3 things. That most of the people's driving force is this. And because of that, there's fear, there's anger, there's agitation, there's harmful competition. There is, trying to progress by bashing others. So when all that is going on, the prison gets more solidified. It's like somebody who's gone to the prison. Now they put him inside that pod, and there's a prison, and there's a locked room inside there. I remember seeing these things before, on many occasions. It's terrible. It's like an animal being caged. ऐसे लोगों को treat करते. Think about this. What humanity has degraded itself into. कितना terrible बात है ये सब. You see, so the point is that we don't want to be stuck with anybody inside this sansar. Not a single person except Bhagwan Krishna and Radhika ji. Other than them, let everything else go by the wayside. Wayside in what sense? Simply to say, it's all a bubble. Atma doesn't have anything except Paramatma. Atma and Paramatma is absolutely real. Everything else is temporary. This body will turn to dust. Kaun hamara hai? Have you thought about this? But this body will turn to ash. It will turn to dust. That's why we put vibhuti on the forehead. In the Christianity, they have that Ash Wednesday. That actually comes after Shivaratri, very close to Shivaratri. Why is that? It's a meditation, ek dhyan, truth hai. The truth is that this body will turn to ash one day. So who is ours? And who's going to remember us? How many people we remember? So when we realize this, we don't get stuck with anybody here. We serve everyone with love. See God in everyone. Yes, God is present everywhere. That's fine. But not to be stuck. It's like, I'll just close with this point. If you go inside one of these jails, these prisons, physical prisons, people go inside, visitors go inside, or they have therapists and counselors and doctors, and all those people go inside. But they don't get stuck inside there. Can you imagine if they go inside and they also get trapped inside? No, this is where the great saints are. They come into the sansar. They never get stuck in the sansar. They do their work to help people, whatever they were sent to do. But they don't. They make sure they don't get stuck inside here. They are 100% making sure that they don't get trapped inside this vortex. You see, and then because they can. There's a statement in Vachanamrut. Vachanamrut में लिखा है for Muktanand Swami and Brahmanand Swami, बहुत बड़े संत थे. Maharaj के थे, Shriji Maharaj. He says that if they wind up getting even slightly entangled inside the sansar, they could wind up getting stuck inside the cycle of birth and death, and it can turn and eventually degrade into stone-like consciousness. Can you imagine this? What a statement that is! And he said that great sages, even if they come inside this maya, they can degrade all the way down. Usually that never happens, but it can. तो हम किस झाड़ की पत्ती? Think about this. Where are we compared to all those great beings? If they can even get caught, where's the question of us getting caught? We're already caught in all these things, right? So this is, but not to worry. There's a direct way out of all of this thing, and that is Akhanda Sharanagati, with love for all. Serve all, recognize the relative level, leave the people in the world alone. Because without leaving them alone, they will cause a lot of disturbance on the spiritual path. That's why Bhagavan Krishna says, leave them alone. There's a verse, I'll find it exactly. He says, leave them alone. Don't bother with it too much. Let them continue doing what they're doing. And let them engage in their fruitive activities. Let them engage. Because they're not ready for this yet. But when the time comes, if they're, by the grace of sages, by the sanskaras that develop over millions of lifetimes, then they might say, okay, let me see what is something beyond this same repetition. Aisi adbhut baat hai. This is what the Gita teaches. Out of millions, somebody will try to awaken into the higher consciousness. There's several verses, I think, in chapter 7 somewhere. So we'll look at that at some point. Anyway, these are things to keep in mind. It is very, very auspicious. Janmashtami was yesterday evening. We have beautiful year coming up. Beautiful. Every day is just a grace. If we make our life this way, then we will have no issues with anybody. Everybody is at a relative level. Let it be where they are. Let them continue doing what they are. Don't criticize anybody also. That is the way the sansar is going to be like that. You cannot expect the people that are born inside this sansar to be enlightened people. They are coming because of causal body, karana sharir. God is giving them a chance to live out their karma and then continue to develop further. If they develop further, or they can degrade also. Anything can happen, right? So all of this is there. Again, please remember that today's sadhana is to ask, what is the quality of the link with Bhagavan? Bhagavan ke saath kitni link hai? We should see that, and then to continue on this way, right? So with that, let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvata Om Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Shri Hanumate Namaha Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha Om Hrim Swaha.